What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the C.O.C. Network. I'm Dylan, and in collaboration with We Are Soccer, I bring you the Inverted Interview Series, a brand new series where we're going to deep dive into the world of soccer, whether that's content creators or ex-players, pro players, you name it. This is the show to learn about soccer in the year 2026. Today, in the first episode, I have a very special guest and someone that I was just telling I have been watching and seeing grow since the very, very start. Like the LeBron meme, if I could go back and say, I saw this coming, this would be my LeBron stake to claim, is I thought you were going to blow up, and you absolutely did. Exceeded my expectations, but welcome. How are you? How you doing?
Dude, that was a good intro. You said he had nothing planned, but that was pretty damn good for an improvised intro. Thank you.
That might be the best improvisation that I've ever done across any of our platforms. So I appreciate that. That means a lot. That means absolutely a lot.
But thank you for having me. And I'm
Yeah.
excited to always talk to another G, but also someone who wants to learn, because I think there are very few people out there who want to learn from me, I guess. But I'm hoping that this reaches all those people, because I am always happy to help.
Yeah, that's the crux of this whole entire interview series is I've been curious about this content space, and obviously as someone who is learning myself, I want to learn from the best, and you are one of the best. Whether that's in the MLS space in general, I think you are the best, and in terms of world soccer content, I think you're up there with the top people that have pro teams behind them. So
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
enough of the glazing from me. There will be enough to spread it out across the entire interview. I can almost guarantee you. I want people that don't know you, don't know your story, don't know your background. I want them to learn a little bit about your content story. So let's start there. How did Eli Lesser TV become Eli Lesser TV?
Yeah, so it's a long story, I guess. So I'll try to keep it just to the bullet points. But from when I was a little kid, I always wanted to be a sports broadcaster. It actually started with me watching Dodger games growing up and listening to Vince Scully. And the whole thing is I didn't listen to Vince Scully, and my mom would tell me to shut up because Vince Scully is the GOAT. And and then I was like, well, if I want to be able to talk during games, then I should just become a broadcaster. That was my 5-year-old thought. And eventually, when I was an early teenager, my mom actually found a sports broadcasting camp, and she sent me there for a week. It was a week long. And basically, when I got there, I was actually mainly a baseball kid then. That was the main sport I played. All the other sports were just like I was into them, but like baseball was my thing. And I walk in the first day with a gray hoodie and a Dodger hat on. And every single other kid was wearing a gray hoodie and a Dodger hat. And at first I thought that was really cool. And then and I was like, oh, there's so many people like me. And then eventually I realized, wow, everyone wants to be the next Vince Scully, just like me. This is kind of scary. Like I didn't realize how competitive it could get. But what I noticed that week is that I was the only one at that camp that knew anything about soccer. And at that time, it was during the peak Galaxy years, as I would say. The Beckham dynasty. It was kind of near the end of the Beckham dynasty. 2014 was post Beckham, but my favorite season personally. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to become the soccer guy at this camp. So I went back to that camp the next year, and I had started my Instagram page at the time, which was then called This Week in MLS. And I'm like, I'm going to be an MLS news guy. I'm going to be that guy. But it was originally just for the camp, because at the camp there was like a podcasting network that we took very seriously as young teenagers. And I did an MLS recap show, and it was called This Week in MLS. And that's why I started the Instagram. It was mainly to promote the podcast, but there's an Instagram account that still exists called All Sports News. And all of my posts were the same format as that. It was like white borders, but you put the text in the white borders. Yeah. And it was just like articles. I did that for many years. Then there was a point where I wanted to be a scoop guy. So I tried to be Tommy Scoops, and that got me in a lot of trouble as like a 17-year-old. But it did help me blow up. But then what happened is the pandemic hit, and I was in school. I was actually a broadcasting major, and I realized, hey, man, I'm a broadcasting major, and I'm doing nothing to help me become a better broadcaster, because I was just posting Instagram graphics. So during the pandemic is when I switched to video, and at first I tried to do like TikTok, whatever that like people do, not like what I currently do. I mean like skits and stuff, which is not, I tried. It wasn't my favorite thing in the world. And now I treat my current, Instagram as like if I were running an MLS news channel or like a sports news channel. What are the daily stories at the start of the day? I pick those. What are the best two? I try to do 2 videos a day if I can. And I pick the best 2 most compelling stories. And I like to think I format my videos as if I was writing a news article. That's kind of how I look at it. And I know I have the same format every time, and I don't know if it's boring to people or not, but to me, it works, and I enjoy it. So yeah, to this day, that's my main focus. And then I do some other stuff for some other leagues. And then I'm hoping to launch something pretty big soon. It's just figuring out when that's actually going to happen or how the logistics will work. But hopefully you'll get an update on that very soon. It's kind of crunch time given the season starts in 3 weeks.
Hey, that is groundbreaking news to anybody who follows you. That's always fun to hear that you have something in the pipeline. I do want to go back to something you said at the very end of that, which is you have a content style that is very unique to yourself. It's how long have you been doing that style? Like, how long did it take you to perfect that you wanted to do it in that reporter kind of article thing? Like, how long did it take you to get to that point? And then how do you go about doing that? Like, what is the process? Like, let's get really into the finite details of that entire workflow for you.
So I started doing that when I shifted away from like the TikTok comedy BS that, I was trying to do then. I was like, you know what? Like, it was the same realization I had when I was like, I need to start making videos. It was like, I need to start actually doing broadcasting and like quote unquote journalism. I wouldn't consider myself a journalist, even though that's, just because you have a degree in something doesn't make you that. And you don't have to have a degree to become that. There are better journalists than me that didn't study journalism. And, there's plenty of people that study journalism that don't practice it. I wouldn't consider what I do journalism. Maybe it's a cross between journalism and something else. But I made that switch in 2022. And if you watch my videos in the same style from 2022, I think they're unwatchable compared to now. Maybe that's just me being harsh on myself. But I just developed a style. I added more length to them because before they were like 20 to 30 seconds, which like to me, you can't get a full point across that quickly. But yeah, basically. And then the one thing I'm very proud of is I'm the king of the loop, where all my videos end and start the same way. Cause like, if you're not paying attention to it, the whole goal is that it will start over again without you realizing it. And some people are like, oh, we're getting tired of it. But I'm like, no, this is like something that I feel like is unique to me. I didn't invent the loop, but I feel like not many, creators that do new stuff do loops like that. And then my whole thing is, in terms of the actual videos themselves, I don't think I'm like the greatest editor in the world, but to me, it's more, it's about getting the job done quickly. Cause I do view myself as a news outlet in a way where, Tommy Scoops is going to drop a story. I have to be quick to get it out,
Right.
I don't want to break news. I like I mentioned earlier, I tried that in the past, got me in trouble. I don't like that style, or it's not for me. For me, it's more, I think I've developed a role in the space where, hey, Tommy Scoops, and yeah, I'm going to mention Tom Bogert a lot because honestly, he feeds my family of myself, but just with what he does, but just, I want it to be, okay, everyone saw this story. What does Eli have to say about it? That's kind of how I want to shape my videos, where it's like the first line of the video will be what Tom said, or sometimes I bury it a little bit. And then the rest of the video is how I think it fits in and what's my overall opinion on it. And I think that's why people come back to my content. And, some people, they don't follow Tom, or they know I'm going to make the video or stuff like that. But, I try to give everyone as much that they need to know about MLS and US soccer at a particular time. That's kind of how I approach it.
So the retention loop, right, that you have in your videos, have you seen, like, was that an instant success for you in terms of like, you saw that work for maybe another content creator and you were like, that's the style that can potentially work for me? Or was it just like you happened to do it and then it was like, oh, wow, that worked really well. Let's continue to do that.
Yeah, I wish I could give credit to someone, but definitely there was a time where people were doing it more. I think just either those people stopped making videos or they stopped doing it that way. But I think it's clever, and it wasn't too much of a strategy. I just thought, it raised the level of my content by doing that.
Yeah. It's a very difficult thing to do. I've tried to do it myself with some of our stuff. It's a little harder when I'm chopping up podcast clips, but the idea of having your story begin and end with the same premise is not easy. Like I dare somebody else to try it. Like that's the most difficult thing to do. And that's why I think your style of content is so unique. And I think that's why we don't see a lot of people in sports in general try that, because it's very hard to do. You're telling a story. And
Mhm.
what's the average length of your video? Like 60
Like,
seconds, maybe
I would
a
say
minute
like
and a half?
45 to a minute. Yeah. I
Okay.
keep it under a minute.
So you're in about a minute window and
Mhm.
you're telling your audience an entire story, right? So you had what did you have come out today? What was
Like
your video?
James Rodriguez to
Yep.
Minnesota. Yeah.
And you had it begin and end with the same thing so that you can continue to turn people and watch your video multiple times. So even if I was watching your video and I'm like, oh, I kind of missed what this started with, I
Mhm.
can immediately go right back to the beginning without having to do anything.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing. It's very impressive. And I think for anybody who's aspiring to do content creation, seeing other people do various different things
Mhm.
is a really unique thing, and you do it more unique than anybody else in sports. Like I don't think I've seen another sports count do that. So kudos to you
I appreciate that. Would
on
you
that.
like a demonstration right now? I have the script up
Yes,
right now. Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
I'd love that.
So the trick is how you do it. And it really is as simple as I'm going to make it. But you read the last line and the hook together so
Okay,
that it's a very natural, it's a natural thing. So I'll just read the last line. Sorry if it's not as good as how I did it in my video today, but it is also great to have a balance of stars in MLS rather than just at the aforementioned clubs, one of which I'm a fan of, but it creates more box office matchups for the league. So I absolutely love this move. So about James to Minnesota. Is this what MLS really needs? So it starts
yeah,
with that. So it goes right into so about James to Minnesota, but like the whole thing is that I don't take a break when I read it into the mic.
hmm,
And then that's how I edit it. And then I just chop it up and I have the same video that plays for the last line be there for the hook. And I think the hook is important. Sometimes they may sound corny, like today I did is MLS better than the championship, but it works. And it's what gets people to maybe stick around for more than 2 seconds.
that's fascinating. That's so cool. Thank you for doing
Oh
that
yeah,
here,
no
and
worries. Yeah.
because
It's not
that
like a big secret that I'm hiding from everyone.
no,
Like it's yeah.
it's badass is what it is,
Thank
because
you.
that's like I said, it's unique and it's unique to you, and being able to share that to the public, somebody could try to replicate it. It's not going to be the same thing. I tell you that much. Um, I do want to talk about the time element
Yeah.
because as someone who's trying to break into the scene, I know how hard it is. And you were at a point, I think this became your full-time job within the last couple of years, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I would consider it. So I've never had a real job, I would say.
Okay.
I was lucky after college to stay at my parents for 2 years before moving out. And I say I credit moving out as when it became a full-time job
Yeah.
because that's when I felt like I was making full-time money.
Yeah.
Because I was able to move out, where before, I was up in the air, like, can I actually do this for a living? So I would consider this becoming my full-time job. It's always been my full-time job, like in the last 10 years of me making content, but also it's only been 5 months of it really feeling like a full-time job.
Okay. So let's talk about the last 5 months,
Yeah.
right? So for you, in terms of your time and your commitment, because I'm appreciative of the time that you gave us today to talk
Yeah.
about all this, how has your life changed in terms of like the normal person works a 9 to 5? What is your 9 to 5 now? What does that look like?
Yeah. So luckily I would say I'm very blessed where I don't work from 9 to 5.
Yeah,
It's
fair.
not that many hours. But for me, I wake up and then within an hour or two, I'm reading everything. I take a little while to get out of bed, but I I read everything that's out there. Usually, I like to go into the day already knowing what I'm going to talk about the night before. I mean, that's always the most ideal. And then it takes me about an hour and a half to write, if I'm doing 2 videos a day, 2 scripts.
Okay.
They're only 1 minute videos, but I want to make sure they're as good as possible. The hooks are good. Sometimes it's like I'll have the script written except for the starting hook, and I'm like, man, I really need something better here because it really does affect how the video performs. Unfortunately, I wish it didn't have to
Yeah.
be that way. And then each video takes 2 hours to edit.
2 hours to edit
Yeah.
each video. Really?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
that's crazy.
yeah, and usually sometimes it's easy to find footage, sometimes it's a lot harder. Sometimes you have to worry about copyright. Luckily,
Mhm.
MLS doesn't care about copyright, at least with me. So I use MLS footage, no problem. But when I have to talk about other things, I get scared and I've gotten flags and 3-day bans or whatever from like the Prem every time I've used the Prem videos, which is stupid, but
They're the worst.
yeah. It's great that MLS is just like, hey, this guy's talking about MLS, so let's like let him. I don't have some sort of like signed agreement with them where I'm allowed to use their videos, but they seem to be cool with me. I have a login for their like database or whatever. But
Oh, nice.
yeah, that was clutch. That was a recent development. Thank God for that.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, because that makes it so easy to get whatever video I want. But yeah, so it takes 2 hours to edit each video, and then I'm done. Or hour and a half to 2 hours. Sometimes if I have the footage ready, it takes an hour only. But yeah, I edit the video on Premiere. I put like the video together, but then I do the captions that you see in my videos on an app on my phone called the Captions app.
Really? So
yeah.
So you're on your laptop, you're putting all that stuff in on Pro and then chopping it up. Is that what takes the bulk of the time? Or do you take a large time to focus on the captions? Or is the caption app so good to where you're like, I know exactly what I'm getting to here and can kind of just fire away?
The captions will take 15 to 30 minutes because first of all, you want the right color for the captions. And if you notice in my videos, I have certain words emphasized.
Yeah.
And I have to do those myself.
The zooming in and zooming out portions, like, is that what it's forcing you to do?
Yeah, no, it's like no, some of the words are bigger. I want to make them bigger and stuff like that. Like, it doesn't do that necessarily. It tries to do that for me, and then also it doesn't fully line up the words correctly sometimes. So I just adjust that. I mean, it's really not that hard, but it's just it could be a pain sometimes, especially if I've noticed if a word starts with a vowel, it does not do the word on time. Like MLS, not like. Sorry, if it sounds like it starts with a vowel. So MLS is always lagging in it because it's like MLS. So it only hits the word when you get to the ls, you know. Just for example, I don't know if anyone cares about that, but that's a thing. But I'd say the hardest part is usually finding the right footage, especially if it's a non-MLS video, because I have to really dig deep and find, high quality footage and all that photos, especially when some of my videos, you'll see like I don't use video and they're just like photos moving. I have to do the motion myself for that, of course. But I edit everything myself. I've never, except for the Bundesliga videos, but in terms of my regular day-to-day videos, I do it all by myself. For me, it's like a trust thing. I don't trust anyone to work as quickly as I am or I need it to be and everything. It's just, I'd rather do it myself. And I know I'm not like a crazy good editor, but I know like what I'm doing is getting the job done. And that's kind of more important to me. It's more important to get the story out and across to people than have like a flashy video. Because I wouldn't, if I were to do that, I wouldn't be able to get as much out to you guys. And I think you guys, and for what I want to do, usually I like quality over quantity, but for what I'm trying to do, I think quantity over quality is sometimes the better option.
I think for what you do, it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to do it right now where I'm pushing out content. Sometimes it's 3 times a day.
Yeah.
And some of it, and I'm gonna be honest with you, some of it is garbage. Like I'm not even gonna lie.
Like
but that's how it is exactly. But for you now, where you can almost, do you feel like you can almost scale back just a little bit in terms of the content that you're creating so that it is a little more quantity? Or quality within the quantity.
Yeah. For me, it's like I try to do 2 videos a day because I think there's always 2 stories I can talk about every day. Also, like I feel like if I only do 1 video a day, I wouldn't actually raise the quality of the video, maybe the quality of the script, but not the quality of the editing. Like I'll be honest, I'm not necessarily trying to become a better video editor. I think what I do is fine enough, and maybe that's the wrong approach. But for me, it's just more, hey, if there's 2 big stories today, I cannot just like sit one out. That's my big thing. Like if, I don't know, if I have 2 good topics, I'd rather talk about 2 good topics. And, sometimes I do force a topic out and it doesn't work. Or sometimes those topics are my best performing videos. It sucks when that happens, but it's also cool, I guess. But for me, my big thing is I don't chase virality. Because I know who I am. I know like what I'm going to cover. And I know there's only a certain limit to how many people are going to watch an MLS video. That's the hard part. And I'd say the hardest part about getting into the space and, trying to find success is that when you're covering a league like MLS, you're covering clubs like MLS clubs. You have to be willing to take the time and let it grow slowly, because my numbers might look great now, but this was a 10-year process for me, where a lot of other soccer creators that have popped up over the last few years may have more followers than me, but also they'll have videos that blow up a crazy amount, but then they'll have videos that do absolutely nothing, where I'm very thankful that my videos basically perform the same way every time. And I prefer that type of consistency than, having like a video with 1 million views. Like I like to have, that audience, that same audience that comes every day, rather than, having to rely on the algorithm to help blow me up.
Yeah. You mentioned that you're this like kind of hybrid between a reporter and what I view as currently in the space, which is just commentary. A
Yeah.
lot of the soccer talk is just commentary,
Mm-hmm.
whether that's somebody on TikTok now where they just zoom their face in and out. I've done videos like that. Or there's people that do more your style, where it's this more of like the pictures and the
Talking
slides.
head, yeah.
Yeah. And you found a balance that works for you, where you're able to do both really, really well, where you are doing commentary, but you also are doing reporting. And that's the special niche that you have found in the ingredients of the secret sauce. If you let's change this question to,
Mhm.
if you had to say that there are 3 items in your videos, your secret sauce, the stuff that makes your videos tick, what would those 3 things be?
I would say loop. Obviously, we talked about that one.
Mhm.
I would say a hook that gets people in. And then I hate to, I don't want to like toot my own horn, but like ball knowledge,
Yeah.
you got to have a hook, and you have to have a reason why people are going to watch your videos again.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. I could have a crazy hook, and then I could say some BS, and then they'll be like, hey, what the hell was that? I don't want to watch this guy again. But I'd like to think, I'm not the biggest sicko. I mean, I consider myself the biggest sicko, but in terms of like knowledge of how everything works in MLS, like I don't know some of the level to the level of like some of the super nerds I've been writing for years. But the whole point is I'm trying to get better. But I feel like also when I am saying maybe super nerdy stuff, like discussing what was it the other week? Dang, I did a video about MLS rules. Oh, the U22 spots,
Yeah.
about the U22 spots, make it palatable, because a lot of people that are the super nerds that know way more, they don't know how to make it palatable for someone who doesn't know. So my goal is to, when I'm explaining something like that, make it so like I'm talking to my mom, which I do all the time, and I basically do that with her. But make the scripts easy to digest
Yeah.
for someone, and I don't try to be anything more than I am, but I also don't try to sound above anyone in my videos as well. I try to just
Yeah.
keep it as, as explainable as possible.
Yeah. Every video is informative.
Like,
Within your story, there are lessons to be learned, right? And I think that's what makes it so catchy and hook. Like, you get people in and you reel them in. Your story takes them through the lesson of whatever you were talking about for that minute, and that's an impressive and important thing for anyone who's trying to do content to learn, is that the story is what makes everything. You are a story in a collection of stories about yourself, right? So I do want to talk about one negative when it comes
okay.
to content, which is fatigue. Look, I was just saying, I have been posting 3 videos, trying to post 3 videos a day, and it sucks. I don't Sometimes I feel like I'm doing too much. Have
Mhm.
you gotten to that point throughout your 10 years of doing content where you're like, this stinks? Like, I don't enjoy the content right now because I've gotten to this content fatigue. And I wanted
Mhm.
you to talk about and elaborate if you have gone through that and what you've done to maybe lessen that content fatigue or get yourself out of that rut.
Yeah, every single day. No, I mean, I have that fatigue from time to time. Maybe one week your videos aren't performing as well as they normally do, and you get pissed off, or maybe you did a video that gets you a lot of backlash, which I've done. I've had that in my past, a lot of that. But my big thing is, and I know it's easier in my position than for someone who's just starting. But my whole thing is, because this is my job, I always have to sit back and realize, hey, would I rather be doing literally anything else for work right now? And the answer is always no. So that's kind of how I get out of it personally.
Mhm.
But my advice would be, is just, if you have a goal in mind, just keep thinking about that goal. Where do you see yourself with this content in 5 years. And always, first of all, always make sure you're doing the right steps to get to that goal. And, there actually sometimes aren't any right or wrong steps, but the whole thing is just always have that goal in mind. And if you're thinking about that final destination, then it gets a lot harder to give into that fatigue, because the fatigue is going to happen. It's a very natural thing. It's something you can't avoid no matter where you are on your journey in content. It just always think about that end goal you have in mind, and knowing that, hey, if you stop it, you're not going to reach that goal. So I think that's what would drive me to keep going. And then now it's, like I said, it's just, would I rather be doing anything else right now for work? And no, I really would. There's nothing I would rather be doing. So, even if it wasn't work related, I like making my videos more than I love playing video games, and I love playing video games. Like that's just how it is. I do this because I love it, not because I have to. I don't have to do this.
Yeah.
Well, now I do, because I live in an apartment. I have to pay bills, but like, it's, I don't have, this didn't have to be my career choice. I made it my career choice because that's what I've always wanted it to be. So that's how I always think when, I'm going through fatigue and stuff.
Yeah, it's a true testament to what you do and how much you love it. Look, you had zero responsibility to come on and be on this podcast and tell other people about what you do and all that stuff. You don't know. We've never met in person. This is a strictly virtual relationship that we have here. And you bleed and show all of your love for what you do through the camera. That's impressive. There's not a lot of people that can do that.
I appreciate that.
I think that's where I'm going to wrap up the content section of this interview. And I think that you gave me and everybody else that wants to learn more about how to get into this world so much information. So thank you for that. But you mentioned it. We're Galaxy fans. We got to talk about the Galaxy.
Always.
We did that Talking Galaxy podcast a little bit ago. And
great episode.
It was a great episode. And one of the things that you mentioned is that you were obviously disappointed both on but off the field in particular. And so walk me through last year for you as a Galaxy fan, as a content creator. What made you, maybe if it wasn't just the season in general, what the club did to maybe be more negative than we initially thought?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to, the elephant in the room is the ice stuff, obviously.
Yeah.
That was a lot to handle. And, listen, at the end of the day, the Galaxy didn't owe anyone a statement, but it would have been nice. And I think that's where the Galaxy fans come from, especially given LAFC made a statement. And especially when you're a very, majority, probably majority Hispanic fan base, it's the least you can do is just say, hey, we're with you guys, and I try not to post political videos, or at least say my opinion when I do those political videos. But the video I made about that situation with the Galaxy, which I didn't share my opinion, even though I was with the fans on that one 100%, it ticked off the Galaxy very badly. They really were mad at me. And it ended with them unfollowing me on Instagram, which, like, I know, it's just an unfollow, but like, as like a boyhood fan, like, I was crushed, of course. I mean, it was the biggest moment of my life when they did follow me initially. So when they unfollowed me, it's like, damn. And then I noticed they didn't unfollow any other creator. They just unfollowed me. And I was just like, damn, that's like, oh, it was a punch to the chest. So I have my own thing against them right now, especially because, I know the people who work there that were pissed off at me, and I don't agree with why they were pissed off at me. Because I think they wanted the story to be swept under the rug or try not to get out. And it was more me sharing the story rather than, I didn't give my opinion, but just me sharing it and I guess pushing it out to a broader audience, when I don't think I was the person who talked about it the most or blew it up the most. Because I contributed to that, they got mad, and they're like, we expected better from you and all of that. And I didn't agree with it. So I'm pissed off at like the people who work at the club right now. Still, regardless of how back I feel about the Galaxy, because I'm very excited about the team this year, I'm just not as willing to go to matches right now. Because, and not that they owe me an apology, they don't owe me anything, but I'm just like, and unfortunately, I still buy all the merch because I have a terrible shopping habit, especially when I'm at the digs. But I just don't want to necessarily put as much money into them. If anyone wants to give me free tickets, I'll be there. But I just don't want to. I just feel like me paying for a ticket right now just doesn't feel right.
No.
until something changes. But sorry to just spill all of that
No,
out. But
no. Was there even a conversation between you and the club when all that happened, or was it just
yeah,
like
certain
they
members,
cut
it
ties?
wasn't like a meeting, but like it's not like I was ever in with them, you know. It was more
Yeah,
like they've never wanted to work with me respectfully. But it's more just hey, we like you, you're a Galaxy fan, so haha, like this is great. I mean, like a few years ago, and this is a totally different in-house team, but like they gifted me this mic, and they gifted like a
oh
lot of
wow,
the podcasters like this same mic like a few years ago, at the time. So like they used to be nicer. And I just feel like the club is having an internal identity crisis and how to market themselves. And I just think they've taken the wrong step 99 out of 100 times. But the merch is
yeah.
great. That's all I
The
gotta say. The merch is
the
amazing.
mer the merch is amazing. It's very hard to keep the wallet out from there. It's
Yeah.
interesting because, and you've probably seen this. I mean, you went and did a trip with Dortmund, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
the idea that clubs are rooted within the communities that they build, right?
Mhm.
And you're sitting here as a content creator doing videos for I would say 100% of the videos are positive, or at least in a positive light when it comes to the Galaxy.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
you're a reporter in that sense. For them to kind of axe you over something that you were just reporting, I find that interesting. Maybe there's more to this. There's been other reporters that have also
Maybe.
had that type of feeling and that vibe, but I find it strange that they would do that to one of I would say you're probably the biggest Galaxy content creator. I don't
I
think there's many
I would
other out
say
there.
so too. And it was also the timing. Obviously, the ice thing happened, but the ice thing happened like a week after I just hosted a tailgate out of my
I
pocket for
Yeah.
150 Galaxy fans. It was just like, so I did kind of pop off on my story being like, you guys don't do anything for the community. I do more than you guys for the community, which is like not necessarily true, but I was in my feels and I like posted about the tailgate and everything. And that was 100% out of me and my dad's pocket to put that. No one, we got free beer for it, but we didn't, all that tri-tip was paid for by us. So like,
Oh,
it wasn't a cheap thing to do. And I felt really good about it. It made a lot of people happy. It made me happy, honestly, just to do that for people. And then for the ice thing to happen right after and me just to simply talk about it, to have that sort of reaction was very disappointing for sure. And that's why I've been kind of, a lot of people are like, oh, get over it. They just unfollowed you. But it cuts a little deeper than that.
that's not just an unfollow. That's a
Yeah.
statement. That's a
Yeah.
statement of how they felt about the entire situation, which I think is ludicrous. You are an ambassador. You were an ambassador for the team without
Yeah.
them giving you that official title.
Mhm.
You are embedded in that community. Like you said, this has been your entire life. You
Mhm.
watched Beckham win trophies here.
Yeah, dude, I
Like
can't
that's
switch
how
up.
long.
Like, I could easily become an
Yeah.
LAFC fan, but that's literally nothing. That's like not even a consideration. Like,
No.
that's not even like an
Th-
idea in my mind. Like,
they've done you wrong. And I think and I hope that people listening to this understand what that says about the Galaxy as in their front office to a certain extent. There are portions that, and this goes for all sports teams, that there
Mhm.
are bad apples. And there are
Definitely.
bad, and like you said, they're going through an identity crisis. You can see it in everything they do.
Mhm.
This isn't this. I hate to break it to people, like this isn't the Lakers. You don't have
No,
to be cut and dry. This is everything,
yeah.
right? This is we're the pinnacle of whatever. You're not in
No,
this sport.
it's
This
just
isn't.
no one cares about MLS the way they care about NBA, and that's the reality. We talked about this on the podcast. I don't want to go over it again too much, but the Galaxy just can't rely on that reputation anymore, especially in a year where there's guaranteed to be new fans coming into the sport, and there's a club across the freeway that's doing, unfortunately, an amazing job at marketing themselves. So
Yeah,
I hate to
immediately.
say it's success on the field is good, but marketability is even more important. And
Yeah,
if we're not winning, then what's the point of calling us the best club? We win everything. We actually have to do that then.
yeah. To be the best club, you have to be the best both on and off the pitch. That is organizationally, it's from top down. That's how you have to be run.
Mhm.
Right now, I can guarantee you the Galaxy are not run that way. I think there are some figures that do run that way,
Yes.
and we can move to more positive stuff here with
Patty
the team
Cooch,
as a
man.
whole, right? Yeah, you're talking about one of the brightest minds in the sport, but what are you expecting from the Galaxy on the pitch this season? It's a brand new year.
I'm thinking things are going to look pretty great. I don't think we're number one in the West. It's very hard to say that. I don't think any team in the West is going to compete with the top teams in the East, unfortunately, this year, just how it's shaping up. Maybe Seattle, maybe the other LA team, but I expect us to maybe push for a home playoff match with the additions we had. I mean, I mentioned this before, but no other team in MLS has added 4 upgrades, starter upgrades, than we have. We've made 6 moves maybe this offseason, maybe 5 or 6, and we've guaranteed 4. Sorry, Klaus, Tommy, Garces, Hack, and then we brought back Nascimento. So 4 starter upgrades, and then we have our striker core. And the big thing is that we really went after our biggest weaknesses that we had last season: striker and center backs. And then we have a makeshift Ricky replacement, which I'm excited for Eric Tommy. He's nothing flashy, but he's someone, and I'm very impressed that we did this all within the league. That's something I always like to see out of teams. I hate to toot my own video game horn, but I'm a big Football Manager player, and when I do MLS rebuilds, I always find my most success when I'm pulling from within the league and making trades from within the league. And I know MLS clubs and real clubs actually use Football Manager in some regard. It's actually a weird phenomenon, but
really,
because the MLS rules in Football Manager are 99% of the real actual MLS rules. Salary cap, it has the real salary cap. They're just a little behind on the DP versus U22 stuff.
Okay.
They still have the young DP rule, which doesn't exist, anymore. But they have the exact rules from 2 years ago, basically. So it's really fun. If you're a super nerd, it takes a lot of patience, but once you get it, that's why I feel like I've gone so good with MLS rules. But I think it's great to build within the league. You have known entities. A lot of clubs have gotten these big names and good players from other leagues. You don't know how they're going to fit in the league. I trust the sample size that we see of players within MLS. So I'm very happy with the way the Galaxy handled their offseason. Yes, I would have loved Robert Lewandowski as our starting striker this year. Probably won't happen, but I preferred that we did go within the league and get a Joao Klaus than take a chance on another random striker from the Dutch league or, a good league, but you don't know how they're going to fit.
What's the theory of the players that come in their second season being where you really judge them? What's that theory called again?
It's the Goss theorem. So it's David Goss, who's a former worked at MLS. Now he does Soccer Wise with Tom Bogert. I want to give him the credit for this because I love mentioning it. But the Goss theorem is that you cannot judge a foreign player in MLS until their second season. And I think the Galaxy are in a position where they can't really wait for a second season and bring in new guys. And I think last season was the first season for a lot of the guys. That's why I'm not worried about Lucas Sanabria. I'm not worried yet. Nascimento, I'm not worried yet. I got to see how they do in this season, maybe the first half of this season. But I think Sanabria could still be the player. I mean, there's a reason why Will Kuntz was so eager to sign him in the first place. That was a big deal. He was like, this is the guy we wanted. And I trust Will Kuntz. And I think this year, hopefully we'll see, some huge strides from him. So if you're a Galaxy fan listening, just with a lot of those guys, just be a little patient. Not everyone's going to be an instant success, especially a young player. The U22 guys in Sanabria and Nascimento, give them the time. I mean, we saw Nascimento. He was much better later in the season than he was at the start. And I think that will be the case. So I'm feeling really good about pretty much every spot in our starting 11 next year. And I do think that when you stack our starting 11 and some of the depth we have now, we should, on paper, we are a top 4 to 6 team in the West.
Yeah,
I would say. I could tell you the teams I think are better than us, but I think we are 4 to 6 right now.
I think everything that you said there is where all Galaxy fans should be at this point in the offseason. We crushed it. The top individuals that are good at the club made good calls. And to bounce back from that Ricky injury and the way that they have it's pretty impressive.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm curious in terms of those additions or just the team as a whole. Let's do some predictions because I've got you on camera, so I might as well clip you up. That's the whole point of interviews and podcasts and stuff. Is just to get clip-worthy stuff so that 12 months from now, when someone wants to say that we're stupid, they can go ahead and do that, or where we can go back and be like, we are geniuses.
We called it.
So let's clip you up here. Let's predict a team MVP. and where the Galaxy finish. Let's put a number on it.
All right, call it a cop-out, but it will be Gabriel Peck. I think that's the obvious choice, but I think he's really motivated after a down year last year for him to come back and be the MVP that I thought, unfortunately, last year I predicted him to win MLS MVP in 2025. Didn't quite work out, so I'm not going to do that this year so I don't jinx him. I'll say Daniel Bouanga just to jinx him.
Yes, thank you.
But I think he's going to really take that next step. And I hate to say it, but I don't think we're going to keep all three killer Ps in 2027. So I think, hey, if either of them want to get that move elsewhere, they're going to have to show up this year. And I think that will be to the Galaxy's benefit. And I think Gabriel Peck's going to be that guy, and maybe a guy that we could really cash in on at the end of the season. So I'm hoping that, he'll be in double digit, both goals and assists. If he could reach 20 in either, that'd be pretty dope. If he could be 15 and 15, that would be awesome. But I think he is talented enough to be a 20 and something guy.
Yeah, he's got to be our MVP. That was what we all thought. We thought it was Liverpool, Atletico Madrid,
and
a host of other teams coming. Yeah, and then last year he underperformed in a bunch of metrics, and it was like, whoa, wait, do we have this guy right? I think we have this guy right. He is a true talent. It's just about him showing that, and he had a down year. It happens.
Yeah, but, the whole team had a down year, so I can't blame him for anything. It was a whole team thing.
Yeah. There was like a virus that struck for 17 games. It was rough, and they finished close to last, but not last.
Yeah, the fact that we got out of last, I think, should actually be a positive heading into this year. It's like, hey, we weren't just last, we were far back last. We weren't just like 1 point behind SKC the whole season. No, we were down bad. And I was pretty happy with the way the Galaxy played from Leagues Cup onward. So I wasn't too worried about a lot of our players, and I just think keeping that momentum going and adding in the guys we did, we should be fine. Not a lot of teams in MLS improved this offseason, and we did. So,
yeah, I think most teams took a step backwards, except for one team. One team decided that they were just going to put everyone else probably in a grave.
Yeah, and I just want to point this out. This is a thing that happens every year in MLS. Teams just tend to come into the league worse than they were last year, and then by the summer they're much better. Yeah, because I notice this trend every year. It's just nice to be one of the few that gets better. I'll take that.
I'd much rather be in that situation. Last year we got way worse, and then in the summer it was like, oh well, we're so bad that it's not even worth investing in. And now we're at a point where we had to make the upgrades. We made the upgrades, and now we can go into the summer, and there's a host of players that are like on these weird contracts that you might be able to move off of, and then you can go and play with the idea of a Thomas Muller, right? Like those players become available if you are good. If you are bad, they don't become available because your team doesn't want to spend money. And
also, like, think about it this way, like this could be big when the schedule changes in MLS, but like it's harder to get players while they're in the middle of their season. So MLS has to play that game, and that's a big reason why people are excited for the schedule change. But that's why the teams kind of aren't as good heading into the year versus by the end of the summer you get your more complete team.
Yeah. All right, so put a number on it. In the regular season, where are the Galaxy going to finish 1 through? Is it 15?
15. Yeah. So my current place for them is 5th. I have my current predictions up, but it might change. There's a chance we finish as high as 3.
Okay.
I don't see us finishing in the top 2. And I see us finishing maybe as low as 7, but I would be pretty surprised if we're not 4 or 5.
Yeah. We're in the playoff mix.
Yeah.
And
we will be.
Where's the expectations if we do make the playoffs? Is it quarters, semis? Where are we at in terms of that?
I don't want to like have expectations too high or too low, but I would say if we could just get in the playoffs and win our first game, that'll make me happy. Compared to where we were last year, anything else would be great. But if the momentum's on our side, sometimes all you need in MLS is just a great form at the end of the season. That's all it takes, no matter what your seed is. So if we're heading into the playoffs with a few W's and then we get a favorable matchup in the first round and we squash them, like who's to say we can't go all the way? But yeah, it's just, for me, it's, are we going to run into an LAFC at LAFC? That's a matchup you don't want. Are we going to run into Seattle at Seattle? We do not want that, So there's those teams where it's you don't want to play them away, but some teams you get lucky with, or you can handle. So home field advantage is always important. And yeah, I would say as high as 3, as low as 7 for me. So not wild card. I think we will be an outright playoff team. And I don't care if I get called biased for saying that, but with the squad we have on paper, there's no excuse. We should be a legitimate playoff team.
Agreed. We're not playing without our star, or we're not playing with a hand behind your back. You've mentioned multiple times throughout a bunch of different podcasts that not using every mechanism within the salary structure is very difficult. Like, you can't do it, especially if you're trying to be a top club. Last year, the Galaxy didn't have a DP. They had 3 of them to their ability. They only used 2 throughout the entire season, and they weren't using an extra U22 or anything. So they've got all those in place. They should be a very good team this year. I'm in total agreement.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's wrap this up with 2 things. I forgot to do it in the beginning portion. So I want to know your favorite collab. You've collabed with like the Bundesliga and La Liga, and you've done stuff with Tim Howard and Landon Donovan. Out of all the people, because I'm not going to say who's the worst, because you're not going to be able to answer that. I want to know who's the best collab that you've done so far.
So person-wise, I mean, definitely LD and Tim Howard was just crazy. Just because it's like those are the childhood heroes, I will say, so my favorite with LD, and I'll say this in the best way possible, he is the most lovable prick ever, like in a good way. Like he has a very prick personality, but it's very lovable because it's LD. It's like he was the type of person where, like, if I beat him in rock, paper, scissors, I have to play him again until he beats me. Like that's just his personality, and I love it. But a couple years ago, I was in a creator tournament with Body Armor, and I got placed on Landon Donovan's team, and we won. And it was just like, that was definitely like my favorite moment, just because it's like, I got to win a soccer match, even though it was like 3v3 and it was on like a little court with tiny ass goals. It was just really cool to, to do that with him. And then my favorite brand I ever worked with, and this is like a niche partnership I had a long time ago. But my first obsession in life, my first addiction was baseball cards. And a while back, I did a couple videos with Topps, and that was like the big, like full circle moment with me. Cause it's like, wow, like all I had growing up was Topps cards. I have a ton of Topps MLS cards as well, and Bundesliga cards. But for me, it was just, to do something with them was pretty cool. And like, I hope, I could do more with them eventually, but this was like 2021 at this point. This was a long time ago. And I did weird videos for them. But it was super fun. And, that was like a full circle collaboration for me. So I'd say that's my favorite.
That's awesome. Those 2 things that you said, that's like, I feel like every kid that grew up in the US and they were into soccer from the, the early 2000s to now, like that's it. That's the dream right there. Landon Donovan and Topps.
Yeah, like who doesn't love Topps cards? Like I would actually, that was the thing when I mentioned I would never shut up while watching the Dodgers with my mom. I was reading off Dodger stats on the baseball cards, and she was like, "Listen to Vin." I'm like, "No, but this guy hit 25 home runs this year. Did you know that? He had an OPS of, like
pulling up the Andre Ethier card.
Oh my god, dude. Don't get me started on Andre. My mom does not play about Andre Ethier. That's her man's right there. That's her man. Like, yeah. Matt Kemp will always be my GOAT, and I really wish that era of Dodgers got to win a ring, because that was a very special era for I think anyone around our age that grew up being Dodger fans. James Loney, Russell Martin, rookie Kershaw, that era.
That was some fun Dodger teams where I am an Angels fan, so like either way it hurts me. Baseball's not really a cool sport anymore. I don't even like that sport, but
I don't hate on the Angels. So
that was a badass team. They're doing great now. So I bet for you, that's awesome that they could keep winning. But
yeah, I hate to say I'm very spoiled to the point where I don't care about baseball until the playoffs now. I mean, I'll go to a game during the regular season, but also like baseball is just not a priority for me anymore. Like it was, for me, it's soccer 1A and then actually basketball 1B. I'm a big basketball fan. Unfortunately, and this is why I don't hate on the Angels, but unfortunately I was born and raised into a Clippers family. So I know what it's like. I know what it's like. I get you guys, I understand.
I saw your post today. Congratulations on James Harden leaving.
Freedom!
Freedom.
Great. So, dude, I've hated that dude my entire teenage years. So it's so like having him on the team just hurt so much because I really wanted to hate him, but then I was forcing myself to like him. But now that he's gone, see ya. Like I cannot stand that dude. I think he ruined the sport, and I think he's a massive diva. There's so many negatives I have to say about him, and he also traumatized me as a child. I've seen some of his biggest highlight plays in person, and that we were always on the receiving end. So, if you guys look it up, the Wesley Johnson crossover, I was there. It was right in front of my eyes.
Oh, wow.
I hate James Harden. So, like I said, don't take care. Hope to see you never.
That is the one thing that we are going to disagree on this whole podcast.
You're a James Harden fan?
I love James Harden because, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with his team success. It has nothing to do with that. I just know every time I'm turning on a television and James Harden is playing, the ball's in his hand, and I'm getting a mixtape. It doesn't matter if they win or lose by 50. James Harden is playing basketball, and I don't get that out of every player, at least every star.
Yeah, my thing is, big thing against his style of play is the foul baiting. And I feel like he's the guy who really took that, really started that. Although foul baiting's always been a thing. And then like you look at Shea now, like I used to love Shea obviously when he was on the Clippers, but like he is hard to watch sometimes where it's just like foul bait after foul bait. So I think I attribute all of that to James Harden.
As you should. You should. He is the most unethical hooper, but I like the ball being in his hands. That's the only reason that I am a big
fair man. He's got good handles, and he makes his step back, which he hasn't done in a very long time. That obvious travel, but that was never called a travel.
Now he's like 40 pounds overweight, so it's not in his wheelhouse to do it like that.
So yeah, Dylan, I'm sorry for crapping on your boy.
No, feel free to. I don't care. He's a cap. Look, he played for the Clippers. I'm a Lakers fan. I don't want you guys to win games. So there's a bittersweet thing to it because now you guys are getting Garland. And he's a good basketball player.
I'm very happy about that. We didn't get him for a bag of chips like the Atlanta got for Trae Young. That's all I'm thankful for. Like we didn't get like expiring contracts. We got someone that we could help build our team with.
There's a future to be held at the Intuit Dome, which is an incredible building.
Oh, it's amazing.
All right, let's finish this off with some soccer stuff. No, people need to know about our basketball knowledge because that's very important.
I would actually say my basketball knowledge is just as good as my soccer knowledge because when I want to break from soccer stuff, I'm watching basketball stuff. Like that's how I function. So it's like I just don't talk about basketball for content. I know just as much about basketball as soccer.
We are very similar. I'm coming to that realization that we are pretty much the same person.
Oh yeah. He's up, baby.
All right, so let's do a self-promo bit because you've come on here, you've given me enough time. I want to know what's coming in 2027 that you can tell us about. What's the big if there is any big news to tell us about. I also want you to talk about your clothing line that just came out.
Yes.
All that stuff. I want you to self-promo till the cows come home, and whenever you're done, that's when we'll end the video.
Yeah, so I would say the only hint I'll give about the project that I have in mind, and like I said, it's like it'll be disappointing if it doesn't happen. But a couple years ago, I switched my username from This Week in MLS to Eli Lesser TV. That was a great business move on my part. It's honestly a big reason why I'm able to do other things and make money, honestly, for the most part, because I wasn't seen as a fan, or I was seen as a fan page, and now I'm seen as a content creator. But I've always had in mind a way to bring back the name This Week in MLS, and it's a very specific thing, and I really hope you guys gets to see the light of day. So hopefully that will happen this season. If not, I'm going to keep fighting for it until I get it exactly how I want it because I'm stubborn. But it's got to be exactly the way I want it. That's the only way I'll say it. But in terms of my merch, I'm wearing it now. The No Complacency collection. So I am a huge punk rock fan and a huge soccer guy. And there's a ton of punk rock songs that have motivated me throughout my career, I guess, and just daily life. And a lot of stuff that has to do with not settling for where you're at in life. That's the overarching theme of these songs. So I decided, I've also always wanted to have my own merch and make it something that, wasn't just like my face on it, something that could identify with anyone And yes, it has a mix of, the soccer ball eyes and the
Mhm.
punk rock skull and all of that. But it was more about, making something that was true to me, but not all about me. So I wanted to make the No Complacency collection, and on the back it has a line that says, "This time I won't be complacent," and it's the energy that I want to give off to anyone out there who wants to pursue any of their dreams. It doesn't have to be pursuing soccer content or anything. It's just a reminder that, I want you to wear this and look in the mirror and say to yourself, like, this time I won't be complacent. Whether you're lagging on getting your videos done, you're not happy with your job. It's to tell yourself that, hey, like, this is the time is now to get it going, because you're never going to you're never going to get to where you want to be if you're not taking the steps yourself, or if you're not putting any effort towards it. So it's about not being happy with where you are in life because you're not at your goal yet. That's kind of what the whole no complacency thing is all about. And yeah, getting to combine my love of soccer and punk. I mean, I wanted to make something I would wear personally too. That's a little selfish here. I didn't think about what anyone else would want to wear, but I was like, hopefully people like it. It's very high quality stuff. My boy German, who's starting his own clothing brand, he produced all of it. So shout out to him. My favorite part, which I'm not wearing, are the hats. They're all corduroy, like this hat.
Heck yeah.
And that's my favorite thing, because I'm a huge hat guy. I've been wearing hats since I was a kid. So like, to be able to have my own hat is pretty dope. And
That is
I
nice.
recommend it. You could get it at ashesandangels.com, or just check the link in my bio on any of my accounts. You'll find it there. But yeah, that's all I got to plug right now. And then I guess just follow me on Instagram, preferably. I do not check TikTok comments or DMs, or YouTube comments or DMs. So if you want to actually hear back from me, Instagram, I'm pretty good at responding most of the time. So yeah, those are all my plugs. But thank you, Dylan, for having me. This is really fun. And hopefully, anyone out there listening maybe learned a thing or two about, how I do content, and maybe it inspires them to start doing their thing.
Heck yeah. Well, I'm happy that you're here. Like I said, this is a full circle moment for me because I've been following you for a long time, and I'm happy to say that you are the first guest on this new series that I'm doing. If anybody wants to find your stuff, I'm going to plug all your socials in the description, as well as the site to your merch. If you haven't gotten his merch, go and get his merch. It's amazing. But I'll leave it there. I also want to give a very, very special shout out to We Are Soccer. They are an amazing partner, and they've been great in giving us a platform to reach more people that need to know more about your stuff and more about our stuff in general. So let's leave it there. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.